late in August of 2023, an FBI-led investigation resulted in raids of Bandido members' hideouts. We sat down with Special Agent in Charge Raul Buhanda of the Albuquerque field office for an interview.
I mean, this investigation, I think, has been going on, at least in the city and in the state, for years, right, where these folks are just going around and causing all sorts of havoc. And if you look at even just the last 3 to 4 years, you can associate at least 11 different murders to the Bandidos specifically. And if you go back not that far back, in May, we had Red River, right, where we had another 2 Bandidos that were killed, and then you have a water dog that was also killed. But like, I think the big thing there was that you had 5 innocent bystanders that were injured as well. And that's kind of been the theme of all of these things, right? They're not just going and really going after each other, whether it's them against the Mongols or whatever the case may be. At Rivera, I was obviously the water dogs, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that innocent people are getting hurt, innocent people are being harassed, and they're the ones that are being impacted, right? Those are the ones we really care about. These gangbangers, and that's eventually what they are. It's just a gang that sets their own rules and wants other people to go abide by them. Last time I checked, this was a free country and we can do what we want.
That was going to be my question. They go out of their way to call themselves a motorcycle club,
right?
Instead of a gang. Are they labeled a gang?
Well, see, here's one thing, right? So they like to go and do maybe the one event, maybe around Christmas time, take some presents to the kids and say, you know, we're good people, we're just a motorcycle club. But you can't give someone a present today and then rob them blind tomorrow. Those things don't go in line. If that's the case, keep your gifts. I don't need those. And that's really kind of the differentiation, right? Nobody wants to call themselves a gang. But at the same time, are you really a club when you're involved in murder, violence, and violence acts against innocent people? In my book, no.
And then tell us what these raids yielded.
So a lot of firearms, which is what we expected, some drugs, some money, all the types of things that are associated with this type of group. A lot of evidence that we're still processing. I think some of those stats were put out, and you probably all have them, over 151 guns, right? Some of those being rifles and some of those being modified weapons as well. But yeah, we're still processing that evidence. So I get asked all the time, especially since yesterday was Law Enforcement Day at the State Fair, by our law enforcement partners, like, what's next? And there is going to be a next, right? But we're looking to see what that evidence tells us first. If we can go back and maybe resolve some of the things that have happened in the past, because we have so much evidence now that we can go ahead and go through logbooks and whatnot, to include a lot of new cooperators and new friends that want to see this to kind of come to an end, that will continue to work the case. And then we'll see what makes the most sense, right? These were the loudest voices then. Are they going to be the loudest voices going forward? I don't know. Do the Mongols want to step up? We're listening. You know, they wanted our attention, so we're listening very closely.
So I think they're probably considered the biggest gang in Albuquerque, motorcycle gang. Is that pretty much what you guys are seeing?
Yeah, across the state, right? It's not really just kind of local here in Albuquerque where we're sitting right now. It's throughout the state, and that's kind of what this operation did. And what we really wanted it to impact is throughout the state, right? We want to make sure that wherever you're at, wherever it is that you think you're hiding or you're safe, that you're not safe. Not if you're going to be involved in these types of things. There's nothing wrong with someone going and buying a bike and riding a bike and doing whatever they want to do, right, on their free time or on the weekend or whatever. Whereas a problem is when some group gets together and they say, we're going to impose our own rules and we're going to expect you to abide by them. Well, it's no difference than me and you buying a Toyota and Nissan telling us where we can and can't drive. It doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense either.
I was reading in the complaint that there was a sophisticated plan of having a repo guys. Did you guys recover any stolen bikes in these raids?
We're still processing the evidence, but I don't believe so, just thinking off the top of my head on that.
And then go into like the sophistication of this gang, of what kind of enterprise it is.
So as far as sophistication, I mean, in the sense that they know exactly who's a member, who's not, that's kind of a big thing, because most of your local gangs that you have in areas, even some of the ones that are a little bit more established, you know, they continue to grow and they have these sub-chapters, and sometimes those groups don't even know who's part of the bigger organization. They know who's part of the organization. They also know when someone is no longer a member for whatever reason, whether it's their own reasons or because something happened that they chose to want to go somewhere else, or they went to a different gang. they keep some really legitimate records. So to me, as far as sophistication and knowing who's doing what and who's supporting the group and the gang and the motorcycle club, yeah, they're pretty sophisticated.
And I was gonna bring that up, they have a lot of associate clubs. It's kind of obvious who they are because of their colors.
Right.
Are they looked at just as, are they just as scrutinized, I guess, as the main club?
So, you know, you have all sorts of different motorcycle clubs, right? People wanting to come together, some of them to do some good, and some of them to do some things that obviously like the Bandidos. In the end of the day, it really depends on that group, that individual group. You know, do you actually want to just be hanging out with your friends? And there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that all day long. This is the United States, right? That's one of the privileges that we have. But when your group starts to do things, acts of violence, commit acts of murder, or any other violent crime, whether it's state, federal, then yeah, that's a problem. And that's when you've taken it and crossed the line, and now you're going to get the attention of law enforcement.
So what would be your message to these guys as far as them going forward with their business?
So, you know, these events that they attend, whether we're talking about Red River or any other, you know, public event, even the state fair now, these are our events. These are events for New Mexicans, right? This is where we want to go. They're not your events. They're not your events to go and try to bully people or try to bully some other group. Or even when you look at Red River, the numbers, right? There were like about 400 of them. And you had about 12 water dogs, all right? To me, you know, if I'm thinking back to my days back in high school, that's a bully, right? Going after someone that's a smaller target. But these are our events. So keep your, whatever it is you're involved in, out of our day-to-day so that we can enjoy these events, because they're our events. So like I said in the press conference, you know, we're all in and we're listening. So if you want to continue to do all these types of things, then you got our attention. We're not gonna not stop listening because obviously you wanted it.